Hey there, listener. Today is Free Ride Friday, so make sure you hang on to the end of the episode to hear who won this week's free ride to the $100 MBA Training and Community. Every Friday, we give away a lifetime membership to the $100 MBA. We do a weekly random draw with everybody who's left us an iTunes rating and review. It's our way to say thank you for showing your love for the show. So if you want to win a free ride, a lifetime membership to the $100 MBA, just leave us an iTunes rating and review and you enter our weekly random draw. I can't wait to announce this week's winner, so let's get into today's episode. Welcome to the $100 MBA show. No matter what day of the week it is, we're going to serve you a fresh, hot new business lesson that can help you become a better entrepreneur with our daily 10-minute business lessons for the real world. I'm your host, your coach, your teacher, Omar Zenhom. I'm also the co-founder of the $100 MBA, a complete business training and community online. And in today's episode, you will learn when to move your website from a shared host to a dedicated server. When do you know it's time to make that leap? It's an important question that a lot of entrepreneurs ask as they're growing their business because there's a big difference in price when it comes to shared hosting versus dedicated hosting. When do we make that leap? Because again, we don't want to spend money that we don't need to. But you don't want to wait too long because you don't want the experience of visiting your website to suffer. You want to make sure audience members, all your customers are happy campers. So in today's lesson, I'm going to give you some real solid advice when to know to move from a shared host to a dedicated host for your website. Let's get into it, guys. Let's get down to business. Funny enough, today's episode is sponsored by HostGator. HostGator is the hosting solution that we use because they have amazing support, 24/7 live support via chat, phone, and email. That means you can call somebody on the phone. A human being can speak to you to help you with your website and all your hosting needs. Best of all, HostGator is hooking you guys all up with an amazing discount, 25% off web hosting. Just go to HostGator.com and use promo code OMARHookup to save 25% off web hosting. Again, that's promo code OMARHookup at HostGator.com. Before we get into when to upgrade from a shared host to a dedicated host, let's talk about the difference. What is a shared host and what is a dedicated host? With shared hosting, you're sharing space on a server with other users, with other websites. So basically the company, the web hosting company, has a very large server and they partition the server into different sections. Depending on your shared hosting plan, you'll have a bigger section versus somebody else. And the reason why they offer shared hosting plans is because most people don't need a whole server. Many people just need a part of a server to run their website. Now, when I say a part of a server, this is just figuratively. This also includes your upload and download speeds, your bandwidth, how many people you can handle on your website at a given time. So the traffic, the amount of traffic that you receive to your website has a lot to do with if you need a shared host or a dedicated host. So what is a dedicated host or a dedicated server? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's an entire server to yourself. You do not share that server with other websites. The whole server is yours. So that means you have all the power of the server, all the speed, all the space, and all the bandwidth. Just by nature of having your own server will increase your reliability and security. And that's really the biggest advantage of a dedicated host. And what I mean by reliability is that, let's say, for example, you're on a shared hosting plan, and on that server, you're sharing that server with, say, 8 different websites. If one of those websites goes down or has some sort of critical issue, sometimes the whole server's got to go down in order to fix it. And that means your website will go down as well. Now, obviously, this is a chance that is unlikely, but it could happen. In other words, the performance of other people's websites or problems with other people's websites can affect yours if they're sharing the server with you. On a strictly geeky level, with dedicated servers, you can customize the server the way you want to. If you don't understand what that means, that's okay. It just means that you can customize certain aspects of the server to make it easier to use. But it's not going to make or break your actual website. All right, so now that we know the difference between a shared server or shared host and a dedicated host, who uses a shared host? A basic shared plan is a great choice if you're a new blogger or a new website, because your traffic and your usage and your bandwidth is low. You haven't started yet. And for many people, a shared server is good enough for the first few years even, before they start growing their traffic. And if you choose a great provider, a web hosting provider that you like and you like their service, and even though HostGator is sponsoring today's episode, it doesn't mean you have to go with them. That's what we choose, but you can do your own homework. You can always upgrade later. You can always go to the host and say, hey guys, I'm on a shared hosting plan. I want to upgrade to a dedicated server. They'll transfer all your information to the dedicated server and make sure your site is pointing to that dedicated server when the transfer is all over. So upgrading is not a problem. Now for very large sites, they're using dedicated servers, very large businesses, people that get a lot of traffic. Now what do we mean by a lot of traffic? And this is probably the best gauge to know if you need a dedicated server or not. You need to have some sense of how many visitors you're getting to your website. And the best way to know this is to use Google Analytics, which is an easy free tool to use. And for most new websites, they're getting about 100, maybe 200 visitors a day, which is pretty good. That's around 6,000 visitors a month. When I say visitors, this is not page views. This is the amount of people that actually visit your site. Now, 6,000 visitors a month is really not that heavy. It's not that much for a shared hosting plan. The shared hosting plan can handle a lot more. At least that was my experience with my shared host with HostGator. In fact, I don't even think you should consider going to a dedicated server unless your site is really heavy, meaning that you have Flash going on and it takes a long time to load, and you're getting more than 100,000 visitors per month. Now, if you have a light site and you still get 100,000 visitors per month, I even think you can hold off then. I think the absolute limit is when you start hearing some complaints. Maybe people saying, hey, I went to your website and it was down, or it was taking forever to download that PDF. And in my experience, it's going to take more than that. It's going to take maybe 200, 300 visitors per month on a shared host in order for you to really feel like, I need a dedicated server. It's time to move up. And by the way, if you're getting 200 to 300 visitors per month, that's some really good traffic. And if you put up a product for sale, you're going to be making some money. And that price for a dedicated server won't seem that expensive. Speaking of price, how much is a dedicated server? So the difference in price between a shared server and a dedicated server is actually quite large. There's a large difference. You can expect to pay anywhere between $180 to $250 a month on a dedicated server. And that's just the entry level, because there's different levels of dedicated servers as well. But with shared hosting, you can pay as little as $120 a year. So this is why I'm saying be mindful of the traffic you're getting and keep an ear out if anybody's complaining about slow response times to your website. Because if your website's doing fine, there's no reason for you to upgrade when you don't need to. Now, obviously, if you have the money, it's better to be on a dedicated server. It's just more reliable, and it's just a good long-term plan. But if you're pinching pennies and you're going minimal viable at the start, I recommend that you start with a shared hosting plan, and then you keep an eye on your traffic. If you get around the 100 to 200 visitors per month range, if you hear a few complaints from visitors, it's time to move up to a dedicated server. Guys, I got more on today's topic, but before that, I got to give love to today's sponsor, HostGator. HostGator is our web hosting service provider, and we use them for everything, for the $100 MBA, for Webinar Ninja. And it's because their customer service is fantastic, they're reliable, and they can help you out with many areas of your website. Securing domain names, helping you with your pay-per-click campaigns or your marketing, redesigning your website. You need a dedicated designer, they'll get you one. But one of the things I love about HostGator is that their service is fantastic, their product is quality, and they do it without breaking the bank. When you're just getting started, you need to save some money. And that's why HostGator is hooking you up with 25% off hosting. Just go to HostGator.com and use promo code OmarHookup. Again, that's HostGator.com. Use promo code OmarHookup. Guys, I just want to reiterate, even though HostGator has bought spots for today's episode, they did not pay me to give this episode or to do this episode. It's just an important topic that many of you have been asking. And I highly encourage you to do your homework. Yes, we do recommend HostGator, but there are plenty of other great hosting providers as well, and I want to make sure that you make an educated choice. If you do choose to go with HostGator, why not save some money and use promo code OmarHookup? All right, guys, to wrap up today's lesson, I recommend that if you're just getting started, use a shared host and then move up. But it's very important for you to choose a hosting company that you're comfortable with, that you know their service is fantastic, because there is somebody that's going to help you along the way. And you want to make sure that transition from the shared host to the dedicated host is a smooth one when the time is right. It's a lot more headache to move from a shared host to a dedicated host on a different provider. So just keep that in mind. All right, guys, thank you for listening to today's episode, but today's episode is not over. I got to give away a free ride, a free lifetime membership to the $100 MBA. Let's see who won this week's free ride. And today's winner is says Victor Jai. Victor Jai says, love the show. Looking forward to it every day. 5 stars. I love the show and I love the great tips Omar gives. These are things I would have otherwise researched on my own, but I didn't even know that I needed to know them. Thanks again for this and keep up the good work. Thank you for that amazing review, Victor Jai. And welcome to the $100 MBA. You have won a lifetime membership. Your mission is to email us at contact@100mba.net so we can hook you up with a free ride to the $100 MBA. Guys, we do this every single week. We do a weekly random draw with all our iTunes ratings and reviews. If you want to win a free ride, just leave us an iTunes rating and review. Plus, it takes 2 minutes and you help support the show, so thank you in advance for that. All right, guys, I want to leave you with this. This is a Friday episode, and if you happen to be listening to this on Friday and you're in a job and you're looking towards the weekend to relax a bit, maybe work on your business, I think that's a great idea. Spending some time on the weekend to work on your business is great. But I want to encourage you to do something a little bit different if you work on your business on the weekends. I want you to try out, instead of dedicating your weekends to building your business on the side, to dedicate 2 hours every day during the week for 1 week. Now, I'm not going to fool you. I can't say 1 hour because 1 hour is not enough for you to actually get some meaningful work in. 2 hours, you can get something done. And I want you just to experiment. Instead of spending maybe all day Saturday or Sunday afternoon working on your business, spend 2 hours, maybe from 8 to 10, Monday through Friday. 8 to 10, just 2 hours, a total of 10 hours, 5 days a week. Just do it for 1 week and see how much you get done. Do you get more done if you spend 2 hours a day for 5 days rather than spending all day on Saturday or all day on Sunday or half a day on Sunday? In my experience, you get a whole lot more done because there's something special, there's something magical really about small, consistent progress. When you work on something and then you go at it again the next day, there's momentum. But when you leave it for a week, it's hard to pick up where you left off. So this is just a suggestion. I would suggest you give this a try this coming week or the week after. Spend 2 hours, dedicate 2 hours, find 2 hours in the day, and 2 hours straight is what I recommend. And you could do 7 to 9, 8 to 10, 9 to 11 for 5 days straight. See how much you get done in your business versus just dedicating 1 day of the weekend or half a day on the weekend. Give it a shot and let me know how it goes. You can email us at contact@100mba.net. We would love to hear how it all went with this experience. All right, guys, I'll check you in tomorrow's episode, Q&A weekends. I'll check you then. Take care.